Max Verstappen just exposed something in Bahrain that should terrify the entire grid. Not a flashy pole lap. Not a dramatic headline time. Something far more dangerous. A race simulation so consistent it looked scripted. 15 laps. Barely a tenth of a second variation. No tire drop-off. No energy clipping. No thermal panic. And here's the insane part. The new Ford engine is reportedly running 12 degrees cooler than its closest rivals. 12. That means tighter bodywork. Less drag. More straight-line speed. And while others were losing electric deployment at the end of the straight, Max still had around 15 kilometers per hour in hand. Without drag reduction. Let that sink in. He was even lifting on the straights. Not because he had to. Because he didn't need to show everything. Ferrari may have chased one-lap glory. Mercedes may have searched for balance. But Red Bull focused on Sunday pace. And the numbers suggest they are roughly 4/10 per lap faster over race distance. That compounds into domination. By the end of this video, you will understand why Verstappen's brutal pace in Bahrain wasn't just impressive. It revealed a level of efficiency, control, and thermal superiority that could define the entire season before the first lights even go out. If you care about what is really happening beneath the surface in Formula 1, subscribe now. Because what Bahrain just revealed changes everything. Preseason testing is officially over. 3 days in Bahrain. And what Max Verstappen did during those final long runs was not normal. It was calculated. While Ferrari went hunting for headline lap times, Verstappen and Red Bull were running something far more revealing. Full race simulations. Heavy fuel. Sustained pace. And that is where the brutal truth started to appear. Let's rewind to the beginning. There were doubts coming into this test. New power unit partnership with Ford. No Adrian Newey shaping every detail at the factory anymore. Fresh integration challenges. Most teams expected at least some instability. Instead, Barcelona quietly sent the first warning. Short shakedown runs. Minimal drama. But Verstappen immediately reported that the transition between combustion and electric deployment felt smooth, natural, almost invisible. That is not a small detail. Blending internal combustion and electric torque is one of the hardest parts of modern Formula 1 power units. Get it wrong, and the car feels nervous. Unpredictable. Difficult on traction. Red Bull got it right from day one. Then Bahrain raised the stakes. On the opening day of the second week, a hydraulic leak kept the RB22 in the garage for hours. Social media exploded. Was this the weakness? Was the new Ford engine fragile? Was this the beginning of a reliability narrative? Max reportedly refused to run the car until the issue was fully resolved. That was not emotion. That was expectation. He wanted perfection. And what came next was the real shock. The following day, Verstappen ran a 15-lap race simulation with barely a tenth of a second variation between laps. Barely a tenth. Across 15 laps. That is elite-level consistency. That means tire temperatures were controlled. That means energy deployment was stable. That means fuel management was precise. And most importantly, it means there was no thermal collapse. Because thermal instability always reveals itself over long runs. Now look at the engine data. Telemetry from Bahrain showed the Ford power unit operating around 12 degrees Celsius cooler than Mercedes and Ferrari. 12 degrees. In Formula 1, that is massive. Running cooler gives engineers aerodynamic freedom. Smaller cooling openings. Tighter packaging. Cleaner airflow to the floor. Less drag. And less drag plus uninterrupted electric deployment equals straight-line superiority. While rival teams experienced clipping at the end of Bahrain's main straight, the RB22 kept deploying power consistently. No sudden fade. No drop-off. Reports indicate roughly 15 km per hour advantage at the end of the straight without drag reduction. 15. That is not marginal. That is structural. And here is where it becomes even more unsettling. On the final day, while Ferrari chased simulated pole laps, Verstappen ran a full race simulation. And he was lifting on the straights. Lifting. Managing pace. Not showing the ceiling. His long-run average was reportedly around 4/10 per lap faster than Ferrari. 4/10 per lap over race distance is not just an advantage. It compounds. Over 50 laps, that becomes dominance. Now combine that with the RB22's aggressive anti-dive suspension. The platform stays flat under braking. Max can brake later. Carry more stability into the corner. Keep the floor working efficiently. Stable platform means consistent downforce. Consistent downforce means minimal tire degradation. And minimal degradation means strategic freedom. Max admitted the car is not his favorite to drive in slow corners. It feels heavier. More demanding. But then he said the only thing that matters. The stopwatch. And the stopwatch in race trim favors Red Bull. Preseason testing is finished. The lap times are public. But the real story is hidden in the long runs. Thermal efficiency, energy stability, minimal degradation, brutal, repeatable pace. And that combination does not just win races. It wins championships. If Bahrain was an honest preview, Verstappen did not just show speed. He revealed something far more dangerous. Control. And when Max Verstappen has control at the start of a season, history suggests the rest of the grid is already playing catch-up. But here is where the picture becomes even clearer. Because brutal pace is one thing. Brutal pace without visible weakness is something else entirely. And that is what Bahrain exposed. Let's zoom out for a moment. Red Bull did not dominate the single lap charts every session. Ferrari had moments. Mercedes showed flashes. On paper, it looked close. But race simulations tell the real story. And in race simulations, Verstappen operated in a different window. While others were managing degradation, he was managing margin. There is a difference. Managing degradation means you are protecting tires. Managing margin means you are holding back. Reports indicate that during his longer runs, Max was not extracting maximum engine modes on every straight. He was lifting early, controlling temperatures, keeping the package stable. That suggests there is performance still untapped. And when a driver can hold back and still be 0.4 per lap faster on average, that is not just speed. That is structural superiority. Now think about how championships are actually won. Not through spectacular qualifying laps. Through consistency. Through tire life. Through predictable energy deployment. The Ford power unit appears to deliver continuous electric boost without clipping at the end of long straights. That alone changes race dynamics. Clipping forces drivers to defend awkwardly, to compromise entry speed, to adjust braking points. Red Bull do not seem to have that problem. Continuous deployment means clean overtakes, clean defense, clean race control. Then there is the thermal advantage. Running 12 degrees cooler than rivals is not just a number. It means the cooling system is under less stress. It means aerodynamic designers can close bodywork further. It means less drag on every straight. Over one lap, that might be subtle. Over 50 laps, that becomes decisive. And when you combine that with the anti-dive suspension geometry, the effect multiplies. The car stays flat under braking. The floor maintains downforce. Rear stability remains intact. That preserves tires. Preserved tires preserve pace. And preserved pace builds pressure on rivals. Max himself admitted the RB22 is not the most enjoyable car in slow corners. It is heavier. It demands adaptation. But he followed that with something far more telling. He feels in control. Control over braking. Control over deployment. Control over degradation. When Verstappen feels in control, he rarely makes mistakes. And when he rarely makes mistakes, races become procedural. Even Helmut Marko hinted at it, describing their race simulation as depressing for rivals. That is not drama. That is internal confidence leaking outward. Preseason testing is finished. There are no more hidden fuel loads. No more experimental programs. The data is locked in. And the insane truth revealed in Bahrain is this. Red Bull are not relying on peak performance spikes. They are operating in a sustainable performance window. One that does not collapse under thermal load. One that does not suffer energy fade. One that protects tires over distance. That kind of platform is terrifying in the hands of a driver like Verstappen. Because it allows him to dictate races, not react to them. If the first Grand Prix confirms what we saw in testing, qualifying may produce surprises. But Sunday pace will tell the real story. And based on Bahrain, Verstappen's brutal pace was not a headline moment. It was a warning. A quiet, calculated signal that Red Bull may already have the most complete package on the grid. And when a complete package meets a driver at the peak of his confidence, the outcome is rarely uncertain. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle the rest of the paddock. Because what Bahrain revealed was not just pace. It was maturity. This is not a car that looks explosive but fragile. It looks complete. Think about the sequence. Hydraulic issue early in the week. Hours in the garage. Speculation everywhere. Then the RB22 returns to the track and immediately delivers one of the most consistent long runs of the entire test. That response tells you something about internal confidence. There was no scrambling. No visible panic. No radical setup swings. Just a return to baseline performance. That suggests the underlying platform is stable. And stability is what allows teams to unlock performance safely. Now consider the championship context. When a team starts a season with thermal margin in hand, they can afford to push development. They can experiment with tighter bodywork. They can introduce more aggressive aerodynamic updates. Because the engine is not operating on the edge of survival. Running roughly 12 degrees cooler than rivals gives Red Bull breathing space. Breathing space in Formula One translates into innovation freedom. Meanwhile, if competitors are already close to thermal limits, every update becomes a risk. Push too far and you overheat. Add too much downforce and you trap heat. Red Bull, at least based on Bahrain, are not in that position. Then look at energy deployment. No visible clipping at the end of the straight. That means full electric boost is available deeper into acceleration zones. In race conditions, that changes overtaking geometry. Max does not need to compromise corner entry to prepare for defense. He can attack late. He can defend cleanly. He can control positioning without sacrificing exit speed. And when a driver like Verstappen controls positioning, he controls rhythm. Race rhythm is psychological. If rivals know he can pull 15 km per hour at the end of the straight without drag reduction, they hesitate. They overdefend. They overheat tires trying to keep up. That compounds. Now add tire degradation into the equation. The anti-dive suspension keeps the platform stable under braking. Stable platform means consistent aerodynamic load. Consistent load protects the front tires. Protected front tires mean longer stints. Longer stints mean strategic flexibility. Strategic flexibility means forcing rivals into uncomfortable pit windows. And all of this connects back to one central idea. Control. Max admitted the RB22 is not the easiest car in tight corners. But he feels in control. Control matters more than comfort. Because control allows precision. Precision reduces errors. Reduced errors build momentum. Momentum wins championships. Preseason testing has ended. There are no more hidden programs. No more speculative data. The long runs are public. The thermal numbers are circulating. The energy traces are analyzed. And the brutal truth behind Verstappen's pace in Bahrain is not that he set the fastest lap. It is that he did not need to. He demonstrated repeatability, sustainability, headroom, and perhaps most concerning of all for the rest of the field, he did it without revealing the absolute ceiling. If this level of composure carries into the first Grand Prix, qualifying might still produce surprises. But over race distance, over 50 laps, over evolving track conditions, the RB22 looks engineered to absorb pressure rather than collapse under it. And when a car absorbs pressure while its driver thrives under it, that combination becomes extremely difficult to beat. Bahrain may have been only a test. But Verstappen's brutal pace was not experimental. It was a signal. A calm, controlled message that Red Bull might already have the most balanced package on the grid. And if that is true, the season may not begin with a fight. It may begin with a chase.